Welcome to Stock Talk Thursday, everyone. Glad to have you here. April 14th. We're going to take a look at the market. There's been some interesting stuff going on, and we're going to take a look at last week, what was hot, what was not, and there's some extra news on that. And then we'll take a look at this week, what is hot and what is not this week. Feel free to go ahead and throw your comments and questions in the comment box. Both YouTube and Facebook should have that available for you. So let's just jump right in right now to what we've got in the overall market. So here we go. We're looking at the S&P right now, and you can see this downtrend that was broken. And we, for a short time, we were in a bull market, but we were calling it a cautious bull market. And that turns out it was the right call, because look what has been happening lately here. We've started moving down again. So currently we don't have a very clean pattern. That means we are back into a squirrel market. Squirrel market alert just went out this morning. So you guys are probably familiar with this now, as we have been in a squirrel market for, 3 times or so in the last couple months. So it's been a lot of time there in the squirrel market. And that just simply means we don't have a very clear pattern. What's going on here? We for time here, we're making lower lows and lower highs. You can see how we just kept moving down. And then we failed to make a new lower low. Came up here, made a higher high, but then did not hold on higher lows and have broken down below the EMAs again. Today, we're getting pushed down from the EMAs once again. So kind of another question mark as far as, what is the market going to do now? Are we in for a longer term downtrend, something like this? Is that what we're looking to do? Maybe. Could we potentially, let's look at this scenario. And I'm just, speculating at this point to see what would the market, what might the market do. But, and we of course don't want to trade just on speculation necessarily, but, we're just looking to see what are the possibilities out there. So what about this possibility? What if you dropped a line right there and a line right about there? Could we be entering a roll? That looks like it has potential there we'll just have to see if it holds that. If we make a move all the way back down about the 4150 range, bounce up off of that, we could be looking at a potential roll. So that would be fine as well. But right now, when the market is kind of unpredictable and we're not sure which direction we're going, that's why we're in a squirrel market right now. All right, let's take a look at last week and see what was hot last week. And Benjamin, glad that you made it on as well. So glad that you guys are using those comments. That's awesome. All right, let's look at last week. What was hot? So last week's hot stock, if you remember, was Twitter. And of course, there's the big news that Elon Musk had gone in and bought over $3 billion worth of Twitter stock, acquired 9.2% of the company. And you can see the massive gap up. And it went up even the next day, started coming out a little bit. Some more news just came out on that. Now, apparently, Elon Musk is trying to buy 100% of Twitter for something like $41 billion. He obviously can afford it, but that is a massive purchase, even for him. And all of Twitter, that would, there's a lot of interesting things that could come out of that. We're not going to dive into all that right now, but you can see the stock did react some. After a pretty quiet day yesterday, it gapped up. Now it has moved back down, put in a bounce off the 10, but has started to recover a little bit. So that's our hot stock from last week. I would say it's still pretty hot. While the pattern isn't the hottest in the world, I mean, you can get hotter patterns. We're going to see a hotter pattern later on here. Just the fact that you have probably the richest person in the world just gung-ho trying to buy up as much of this stock as he can, that, signals to me that it is pretty hot still, at least for Elon. So that is Twitter. Let's take a look at last week's not hot stock. And we were looking at Fubo. And I don't remember if I mentioned this last time, but I'm pretty sure Fubo had come up before as our not hot stock. And well, when you look at this pattern, it kind of deserves to be the not hot stock at least a couple times. Man, this thing's just getting slammed. Hasn't gotten any better. Let's zoom in here a little bit. You can see, and these candlesticks are pretty small down in here right now. Actually, let me see if I can do something to help make that a little bit bigger. Let's turn that moving average off and that moving average. And shoot, we could turn the 50 off as well. There we go. We don't look, the 50, it's not anywhere close to it. It doesn't want to play with the 50 at all. So we can just quickly turn that off and hide that. There we go. Now we can see those candlesticks better. You can see it's just been, you know, it might get up to the 20 and then just gets pushed down. That's about as good as it gets. All last week, we've been at or below the 5 EMA. So even this little support line you can look at right here at about $6.20. That's a nice line. Let's put that in there. Let's take a look at this, guys. So about $6.20, right about there. We got below that last week and have stayed below that. That's now turned into kind of a resistance line. You can see a couple, 2 or 3 touches here on that line and just getting pushed down. If Fubo continues the direction it's going, it'll kind of forget about that line as it just keeps getting pushed down and down and down by those EMAs. So Fubo still not hot. Let's take a look at this week. Got some good stuff to look at. All right. First one we're going to look at, and I do want to make sure I get my moving averages back on there. So we're going to just click those eyeballs right there, and boom, it's all back. Good to go. First one we're going to look at here, our hot stock. Let me change this guy. Boom, hot stock of the week. There it is. And we are looking at Nucor. They are a steel manufacturing company, Nucor Corporation. So Nucor, what do we got going on here? Massive move up since the beginning of the year here. We were late January, and since late January, we have nearly doubled. Okay, we are down below $90 a share. Now we're up mid 160s. This is some massive growth in a pretty short amount of time. Just 4 months ago, 3 months ago, actually, we were looking at a stock that was at half the value. So all steel, honestly, has been, if you throw in the ticker symbol X, that is a steel company as well. They also are showing tremendous growth. And so steel, why is steel so hot right now? Well, just the demand is super high right now. And this comes right back down to the fundamentals of supply and demand. So the supply is still there, but the demand is so much higher, it's pushing those prices higher. So these companies are able to profit more. And you can see that in the valuation of their stock right now. So we're looking at this nice trend line here as well. Take a look at that. I threw that on there yesterday. We got several touches. Maybe pull that out a little bit more right about there. So that's pretty good. We can save that. And you might be wondering, what is that box on the screen? You guys see in this green box here. So I want to explain that real quick. One of the things that I do with Tradeway is on Thursdays, I also run our live trading hour webinar. So for the last hour of the trading hour of the trading day, our students can get on with a coach and review trades live right then and there and look at potential possibilities of getting in, or if they need to tweak something in their plan. And so I like to draw a box when we get to spreads. Now, this particular one was a potential trade that was looked at last week, Thursday, by a student, and this was a debit spread, 150 by 155. And I'm not going to dive into all the details of what a debit spread is right now, because that would take about 2 days. We just did that course last weekend. But what I want to call out here is, with a debit spread, you are wanting the stock price to move through both of your legs. So the 150 and 155. And what did this stock do? This really hot Nucor stock. This stock moved through both of the legs with conviction and has kept moving up. It's up again today. So I don't know if this particular student ended up taking this trade or not, but had they taken the trade, and if they're still in the trade, there's the potential that they could be looking at over 100% ROI on this particular move right here. We're talking about just in a few days. It was last Thursday they were looking at it. And honestly, he could have gotten out on Friday or Monday with a very nice ROI. And if this person had stayed in, then they would have made even more. So these are real live trades that we look at within the Tradeway program with our students. And so it's always neat to go back and look and see, oh, yeah, we looked at that potential trade right there. How did that play out? And in this case, if the student took that trade, they're very happy. So that is our box right there, and that's what that signifies there. Let's take a look at what is not hot this week. Moving into JP Morgan, Chase Bank. So Chase, pretty stable company overall. They're massive, probably the biggest bank in the U.S. at least. I don't think that they're the biggest in the world, but very, very stable. And one of the first things I want to point out, let's look at a 1-day chart here. Let's look at the, let's pull this out just a little bit. There we go. Earnings report back last year in April. Earnings per share, $4.50. Earnings report July last year, $3.78. Next one, $3.74. Next one, $3.33. Yesterday's $2.63. What is it that I'm trying to call out here? If you remember what a growth stock is, that is when the earnings per share every quarter is increasing. It is literally growing. And that's one of the things fundamentally that we want to look for in the stock before we place a trade on that particular stock. What do we have here? The exact opposite. This is not only not a growth stock, it's you could call it a declining stock or whatever the term might be. But the earnings per share every quarter for 4 straight quarters now has been going down. And now you can start to see that reflected in the chart. The chart, this is a little bit more than a year of time that we're looking at. For a lot of it, it was just kind of going sideways. Then it started coming down a little bit. And then I've got this, let me zoom in here. You've got this downtrending line here, but now it looks like that we've gotten even more steep on the downtrend here as well. And yesterday, big, not huge, but there was a gap down on the bad earnings news. They missed by 10 cents and the outlook wasn't great. In fact, Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JPM, predicts storm clouds for the entire market, not just JP Morgan, but for the entire market. He predicts storm clouds later on in the year economically. So we'll have to see what happens there. But you can see it's starting an even steeper downtrending line as well. So JP Morgan Chase Bank down 27% since late last year. That's pretty big. I mean, JP Morgan is not necessarily a big mover. It's a pretty docile stock. It's not going to do anything super crazy like you would expect a Tesla or now Twitter. Notice some commonalities there. Anyways, so that's what we've got for our not hot stock of this week is JP Morgan. All right, couple things I want to let you guys know about. We've been using this charting platform, Charts by Tradeway. If you like that charting platform, if you think that looks pretty sleek and you want to learn some more about that, we have a Charts by Tradeway stock trading lab training coming up. It is actually being run by the developers of the program. So that is pretty exciting. And that is free. It's free for everyone. So if you want more information, and I missed the link in here, that will be happening next week, Tuesday, at 6 p.m. Central Time, and 9 p.m. Central Time. And I'm going to throw in the chat right here a link that we can use. Tradeway.com. Just go there and then click on the events section, and you'll be able to see, I think it's the second one down currently right now. You'll be able to see that. It's a free webinar. Learn all about what's going on with the program, all the capabilities, a few things that you might want to know to use that as well. So yeah, feel free to hit us up if you have any questions. We'd love to help you out. Support@tradeway.com is going to be a great place to reach us if you have any questions about anything that you've seen or about the platform itself. We'd love to help out. Again, that's support@tradeway.com. That's going to wrap it up for this Stock Talk Thursday. We'll see you guys next week, and we'll have to take a look and see how Nucor and Chase Bank have been doing. All right, we'll see you next week.